Hi, it's Rachel with Storing the Deep. I want to dive into some key characteristics of the self-will, because once you understand what the self-will is and how it is like this operating system that's totally corrupted, that's governing every thought, action, desire, word, and it is this that Christ came to destroy and does destroy for us and replace with his spirit. So thus we're married to him, and his spirit of righteous, perfect love starts governing us. So now all our thoughts, words, actions, desires are all coming out of that spirit. And this is such an amazing gift, and this is what he came to give mankind, and this is what will be in the end. And there are some people that are embracing this transition right now and moving in to being governed really by that Spirit of Christ, and their life is a testimony to that, because when you are governed by the Spirit of God, what you start experiencing in your life is that truest of love, of honor, of mercy, forgiveness, paths of peace, peace ruling your mind, rest that's entering into your life, healing at all levels, security, a sense of stability and strength and power and grace, and all of that's flowing from God in you and through you in your life. It's amazing. And if you're following and walking in that self-will, what you're facing is much more hardship and angst and pain and suffering and anger and bitterness and envy and resentment and unforgiveness and all of those things. And what those manifest in your life are sicknesses and illnesses and just problems, because you're not working in God's wisdom, and issues, and just it's like it describes that path is like with thorns and briars, because that's what it feels like. Or when you're walking in God's path, it's smooth paths, and he makes your paths of peace beautiful. And that's what we really want. We want to be in those paths of life. Who does not want that? So this is the way to it, is to have what is governing us, because we're creative beings, and whatever our beliefs are and whatever our faith is in, that's what's being manifested. So if we've chosen the ways of death and the wisdom of this world and things of this world that are contrary to God, then we're going to be manifesting the fruit of that. If we are embracing the truth of God and the wisdom of God, the ways of God, and we're walking and obeying that, that's what we're walking in. But to even be able to do that, you've got to understand this operating system of self-will and then this operating system of Christ, and to replace and go through that process of having that self-will purged and him come and govern you instead in that spirit of his. So one of the key characteristics of this self-will is a judging spirit. And a lot of people think they know what judgment is. Oh, I know, I'm not that judging. I know what judgment is. Let me tell you, I thought I understood, and as God has been showing me over the past months, I had no idea just how pervasive, how strong, how vast, how deep it is. It is a spirit that started in the Garden of Eden when Eve chose to make her own judgment because she thought it was good, and go her own way and step out of God's will. And that's where it began. And now that is a definite formation of that sinful nature, that corrupted human flesh. And so now everybody, when we're born into that sinful nature, into that self-will nature, and that's a very dominant aspect of it, is judgment. So what I want to do in this video is lay out just some different ways that judgment shows up in our lives. But what you will find is you seek God in this, and I strongly encourage this, because unless God is teaching you and showing you in your life personally, you're not going to understand it and you're not going to see it. So you need him to shine light on it, because once you're aware, then you can abandon it and say, God, I want you to govern me in this area, because that's the renewing of your mind. That's getting the mind of Christ. It's a process, because again, we're creative beings, we're made in the image of God, we're thinking beings. So it has to be purged and renewed, okay? So some of the ways that this judging spirit shows up is it's greatly tied to images. So we judge ourselves to some image of what we should be, what we deem valuable and acceptable and honorable even. And a lot of times that image is crafted by the world and the media and the images and what other people value. And so we strive for that and we compare ourselves. Are we holding up? And we judge ourselves to that. And sometimes the greatest judgment is toward ourselves. And so that's what a lot of us do. And so we condemn ourselves and we beat ourselves up and all of these types of things. We're very critical. That's all coming from this judging spirit. Instead saying, you know what, God, I'm your creation and I'm unique and you can't compare me to anyone, because there is no two people that are totally alike, because they're unique expressions of God and that's what they're intended to be. Although most people are expressions of their self-will that's corrupted, but the intention is that we're all unique creations that are expressions of God, and his creativity is beautiful. And that's the thing, is you start to get this judging spirit starts to leave your life and you start gaining that spirit of Christ, and it is beautiful. And it's what you want. It's what we all desire at our core. So we judge ourselves to some image. The other thing is we judge other people to images, what they should and shouldn't be doing, how they're living their life, what their walk is like, what this. We judge them by all these images too, because you give what you are. If you have that judging spirit, it's the filter. It's like this filter by which you see everything, okay? How you see yourself, how you see other people, how you see God. So now you're judging how God answered your prayer or didn't answer your prayer, what circumstances working out, what you're going through, what's good, what's not, instead of going, you know what, God, I have committed my life to you and I just want to walk in your footsteps and I want you to govern my ways. And I know I can't see the beginning from the end, but I know that you make all things good for those that love you. So I'm trusting you in that. And so whatever's happening in your life, you're trusting God moment to moment. You're not making all these judgments about it. You're seeking to hear the voice of God and to follow and to walk in that. Okay, so you're breaking and not letting your mind go into all those judging, critical, blaming places. Instead, you're saying, you know what, God, I'm trusting you in this. And you're staying present-minded and you're going to say, okay, God, whatever you want in this moment and how I'm walking today, I just want to be led by your spirit. It's a very different process. So pray to understand this and seek God's understanding in this, because it's extremely powerful. Because when you purge, and God purges this judging spirit from your life, which you are a participant in that process. If you're not listening to God, if you're not obeying him, then you're going to continue to walk in that. We participate in this activity, but we can do that because of his power and his grace that's working in us. God set a very high standard, Jesus did, because he knew that he was going to give his spirit to fill us. And so he knew that this is pure love. And I don't want you judging other people. I want you to give mercy and compassion and forgiveness over and over and over. How can we do that? You can do it when you're being governed by the Spirit of Christ. That's why he held and gave that high standard. And when this judging spirit is removed, it brings great healing to you, because you're no longer judging yourself. Because that judging creates sicknesses and illnesses and hardships. The ripple effect is amazing. It destroys relationships. It destroys marriages. Because this judging spirit shows up a lot in marriages. Because your spouse is a mirror to your soul. A lot of times it shows your issues, your fears, your all kinds of things. And so really with them and those interactions with them, you're really not only judging them in certain situations, but you're also judging yourself. And when this judging spirit is purged from a marriage, the healing is amazing. But if it's there, it creates a very difficult path for everybody. So this judging spirit is judging yourself. It's judging other people. It's judging God and what God's doing in your life, or what you feel like He's not doing in your life, instead of committing all judgment to Him and letting go of it. And it creates fear, because people are in fear. Well, how do other people view me? Because if you're judging other people, it's like then you receive their judgments. It's like they're judging you, and that's the filter by which you think. So now you have this fear about, am I being accepted? Am I valued? Am I honored? All these things. But here's the thing, when you purge that judging spirit, all of that goes away, including receiving the judgments of others, because you realize they're based in lies and it's not true. So they become powerless in your life. And that is a lot of freedom. And what comes in the place of this judging spirit is love. That's what replaces it, because that is what Christ is, and it's true love. Okay? It's the righteous love. Something else about this judging spirit is it's amplified by religion. And that's why Christ did not come setting up a religion. He was about relationships. He was about love. He was life. Okay? But when you have religion that says, okay, what I believe in this box, this is right. Everything outside of it is wrong. If it's not my doctrines, it is wrong. And therefore, if you're out here, it's like you're judging these people that are out here because they're not in here. That's what religion does. That's why it's so damaging. Even the religion of Christianity. There is a huge difference between the religion that's been built around Christianity and then truly being a disciple of Christ. It's like serving two different gods. It is that different. And when you start diving into some of these concepts and being taught by God, you start to see that. So you have this judging spirit, and it's the opposite of the loving spirit. So when you're judging, you're not loving. And you're operating out of that self-will. So if you want to really know the love of God and the fullness of that love, this is a huge thing that has got to go, but it's part of that self-will that eventually all of that will be destroyed. And as you start walking those paths of life now, God will start removing that judging spirit from you. And I just want to share a couple verses that in Matthew 7, 1 and 2, Jesus says, "Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you." This is a spiritual law. And this is Christ, who is, all judgment's been committed to Him, and He gave His life so that this judging spirit will die. It will be destroyed, and His Spirit will come in and take the place. That is what's going to happen for mankind, because that is God's will, and that's what Christ, who is sovereign and everything's being committed to Him, who will fill all and be all, that is the plan of salvation. And so when you look at people from this framework, you realize we're all in the same boat. I don't care what your beliefs are. We have been born in the self-will, corrosion, corruption, judgments. And Christ is going to destroy all of that and instead let His Spirit govern each one of us. Now that we are a part of Him, we are married to Him, and it is a beautiful thing. And so if you are partaking in that judging spirit and you're not embracing the Spirit of Christ, then you're into a very rough path, and it will be a rough road for you, because you're constantly bringing more pain into your life, and you're creating it all. You're the problem, and you're manifesting it all. That's why ultimately God's got to destroy all of that self-will, because that is the beast in each one of us that has to be destroyed. And again, we reap what we sow, right? So it is so important to understand this. And in Malachi 2:10, let me just share this one verse with you, and then I'll wrap this up. It says, just this whole sense of this oneness that we have with each other. It says, "Have we not all one Father? Has not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously with one another by profaning the covenant of the fathers?" Christ came to redeem us all, and He will. And let Him play judge and not you. We do what God calls us to, and that is to love in truth and have mercy and compassion. Till next time, keep stirring the deep. It's the one thing that changes everything else.